Welcome back to this second and final segment on the introduction to the word processor. This part will contain mostly information about figures, tables and equations, and related to that is the captions and cross-references to each of them. So taking a look at the figures, so we could add a figure here on a empty paragraph, and we could grab an image from the online pictures of an airplane. So now we have an image of an airplane. Now, whatever image you may have, you might be interested in inserting a caption to this image. So if we right click on this image, and we can then insert caption, and in this case it says table 1, and we don't want this to be a table, we want this to be a figure, so we select here and then we select figure. Now we have figure 1, and then we can insert the caption text. And for the figure, it should be positioned below the selected item, so we press OK. So now we have a caption that is related to this figure. And if we mark everything, we can see that the number 1 here is a dark gray formatted text. So as long as we continue to do the same and adding new pictures or figures, this will count upwards accordingly, and then also if we add a figure previous to this figure, it will then change so that the numbering will be in chronological order. In combination to adding the captions, you might also want to add a cross-reference within the text. And we can just add a cross-reference here at the end of this paragraph to this figure. The cross-reference is located within the References tab. So we click the References, and then we go down to the cross-reference. Select the cross-reference, and now we have already a figure selected, but we can find many different things here. So we have figure 1 only now, only label and number, that's okay, we want only the label and number. So we select it and we type it in, and if we mark everything, if we select everything again, we can now see that this is also formatted in a darker gray. It's connected to this one, so when this will change accordingly if there are more figures added to the document. So these are some aspects to manage the figures in a less manual way, more automatic way. And should we instead take a look at the tables with similar aspects, we might want to insert a table, which is done here under the Insert tab. We have the tables. We can insert the tables like this. You can decide the size of the table that you need. And by default, we get all the borders around this table. So we can select the table. And now we have the table tools, which consist of the design part and the layout part. So under the design part, we can remove all the borders. And as you can see, we have still the options to see the table. And this is basically because, well, we have the paragraph mark turned on, which allows us to see where are the cells in the table. In addition to that, under the Layout tab, we have the grid lines turned on, and should we turn it off, we will no longer be able to see the grid lines. So that's just a visual help to understand what does the table look like. Now, so if we want to have a table, we might be interested in having a top border and a bottom border on the whole table, like this. And then also on the top row, which consists of the labels for the table, we might also want to have a bottom border. So we have labels, and then we have data, like this. And perhaps we want the labels to be bold. It's a possibility. So this is a table that is okay, I think, in my opinion. And it's a good idea to always write the tables manually within the document, so that the tables are not pasted pictures, because then it's difficult to edit them within the document. And in addition to this, we might also want to add a caption to the table. So what we can do is that we can right click here on this little icon, and we can find the insert caption. However, in this case we don't want it to be a figure, but rather a table. So this would be table 1, and then we can insert our caption text. And in the case of a table, we always want it to be above the selected item, like this. So now we have the table text included as well here. And if we select everything, we also see that this is numbered, and we also realize that if we select everything and press F9, that the counting of the number of tables is separate from the counting of the number of figures. So adding more tables would then consecutively add up, as well as it would for the figures. And in addition to this, we can also make a cross-reference to the table within the text. In a similar way, we can go to the references, and we can make a cross-reference. And in this case, we don't want the figure, but instead we want the table. And in this case, it says we want the entire captions, but that's not what we want, because we are only interested in the label and the number. So we can insert that close. And in a similar way, we now have a table with a caption and a cross-reference. For the equations, there is no built-in function, as far as I know, to make the cross-references. So one way that we can do it is that we just add a table, and then we remove the borders of the whole table, and in the one side, and then this can be designed however you like, but on the one side we can insert a equation, and this equation can consist of something. This doesn't necessarily have to be something that makes sense right now, but you write up your equations, you have it here, and perhaps you want to number your equations. And in this case there are another options, and this exists on the insert. We go to insert, and then we go over to the quick parts. We have field. Now we get a long list of different kind of formatted fields that can be included. And in this case we're looking for one that will just count upwards sequentially. So we go down to S, and we find sec. And if there is a description, there, insert an automatic sequence number. So that's what we can do. And we give this a name. We can call this equation. Okay. Now this becomes a 1, and if we should select it, we can realize that this 1 is now formatted. Now, should we just copy this equation and put it down here? It will turn out like this, but if we update, we select everything and press F9, we can update this document, and as you see now, it will count up sequentially. So this is number 1 and this will be number 2. However, should we then choose to cut this equation and then put it here instead? Now we can select everything again and press F9, and it will change from 1 to 2. So that's the one way that you could use the from the quick part, from the field, the sequential, to count this one upwards. Now, if we want to make a cross-reference here, we have to, the one way to do it at least is to turn this into a bookmark, because a bookmark can be found by the cross-reference tool. So if we select this one, or perhaps rather if we select everything, if we want to have the parentheses as well in our cross-reference, and then we go to the reference, to the insert tab, and then we can create a bookmark to our selection. So we can do that, and in this case two things are important. Number one, there cannot be any space in these names because they will not work, and secondly, you need to remember what is the name of the bookmark to the specific equation that you're looking for. So in this case, just give it a name for equation 1, let's say, add. So now we could once again add a cross-reference. So we choose cross-reference, but this time instead of figure or table, we will go and look for bookmark. And now bookmark. And now we have this one here, and the name that will show up here is the name that we have given, so we need to keep track of which name is connected to which equation by ourselves. We can choose this bookmark and then we can insert it. And now we get the selections that we made. So we selected both the parentheses and the number. We could also choose to only select the number, and then we would only get the number, and so on. So that's one way to create a cross-reference by using the bookmark when you have equations. And that concludes this short introduction to some useful components while writing a report with Microsoft Word.